Good afternoon, good morning. Hello, everybody. I'm going to give me just a couple minutes to get everything set up, and I'll get started. Just making sure that all my streams are working. Looks like everything's good to go. I'm going to wait just another minute or two since the scheduled time is 3 o'clock and it's not quite there yet. And then I'll get started. Meanwhile, I'm going to start setting up my editor and things. All right, I think I'm going to get started. Welcome. I just see if it looks like 3 of you are here watching. I'm streaming on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Twitch. So if you don't see everything in the chat that I'm responding to, it's because it's on a different platform than what you're on. Today, I'm picking up where I left off 2 weeks ago. I've actually made a little bit of progress since the last time I streamed on some background tasks. But the objective here is to build a CouchDB compatibility layer on top. Oh, it can't hear me, I'm told. Only my video. Oh, do you mean that you can't see my screen? I'll share that in just a moment. So the goal today is to continue progress on building a CouchDB compatibility layer on top of Postgres. I'll be using test-driven development as I typically do. And we're pretty early in the project, so there's not a whole lot done yet. 2 weeks ago when I last did this, last week I was sick, so I'm sorry I missed it last week, but 2 weeks ago when I did this, I was trying to copy some code from another library I'd done, and that kind of got in my way. I needed some code, I needed to move things around. I think I've done most of that now, so hopefully we can just hit the ground kind of running today. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen, and we'll get started here. So let me see where I was. I have my pull request that I started on last week. Just want to find out which file. This is the file here, I think. Yeah. Actually, let me just close everything else. So I have just those bits. Put the test and the code side by side. Now, let me see, where was I? I think I was trying to implement some tests here. Yes, so I was trying to do a test that would support the descending equals true option. And that's where I hit the sort of the wall. I needed to either implement those options from scratch or copy that capability from another library I already written when I did this same sort of thing a year or two ago for SQLite. So since last 2 weeks ago, so last live stream, I've hopefully have that library now in a usable state, so we can just continue on with that. Let me see here. I need to have options. Good. And then I'm trying to remember how these options work. I need to add options here. So the options are in a new package called x/options. Actually, I don't need that right now. I'll need that here. For right now, I'm trying to remember how I specify an option. It's been a while since I worked on this code. I think I do kivik dot. No, wait a minute. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull up some of the tests I did for SQLite and see how I did there, and then I can copy the pattern. So let's do the AllDBs test since I'm testing the same thing. Except I don't really test that very well. I don't pass any options there at all. Let's see if I have something else with some options. Create DB. Nil options, nil options, nil options. My goodness. Maybe changes will have some options. Okay, so I'm just passing a map. Does that make sense? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm passing no options there. Here's option. Okay, here we go. That's what I'm looking for. This is the pattern I want. I think. We'll see if this works. And so this should be descending true. I think that's what I want. Let's close this. Now the test should not pass yet because I have not done anything until I have this options argument here that I'm not using at all in the actual code. In fact, that's what this tells me right here. But it should compile, which will be a good quick test. Where's my console? Here it is. It should compile without any problem, which is would mean the types are lined up and everything. So that's good. All right. So, wait. Okay. Forgot to specify the use test containers flag to tell it to start up Postgres. There. That's what I expect to see. It is returning results, but in the wrong order because it's not ordering properly based on this flag. So this is where I'm going to use the new options package that I created or forked or whatever. But I have to remember how that works. So let me open that again. Options. Okay, so I'm going to basically get I'm going to do if descending error colon equals. I have to remember how this is being used. Let me see how it's used here. Here we go. That's interesting. It's not what I was expecting. So the thing is that I'm not using, I never implemented this descending feature in SQLite for reasons I don't recall. I'm sure it was an oversight. So I can't just exactly copy what I did for SQLite. I need to invent something. Let me see how this error works. Sending. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to do, but I need to figure out how this map thing works. This is what I want to see how it's used. All right, so let's do ops colon equal, I guess there's an error also. Options. No, I can't use options because that's the name here. So I need to rename this. Let's call this ops. And then I'll use, I guess, just O. It's a problem when you have ambiguous names. Options.new ops. Okay, that should work. Yeah, now imports that package. That's what I'm looking at on the right-hand side. Now I can do this. If descending, comma, error, colon equals blue dot descending, error. So I don't exactly remember what this new thing does. Okay, so that shouldn't return an error, though. There's no error here. What does it think it's doing? I'm so confused. This should just be like this. But now, oh, I need to import that. I need to go get that, I guess. Oh, I know what I need to do. Yeah, it needs to get the latest version. That doesn't work. Main. There we go. That should pull in the newest version. I think that'll start working now. Yeah, okay, now it's working. So this options.new basically converts the input into this sort of struct. And then from that struct, it's not really a struct, it's a map, but it doesn't matter. From that, I fetch the descending value. This error will be non-nil if it's an invalid value. So descending needs to be a Boolean or a true-ish or false-ish value. So that can be literals like true and false, maybe a few other things I don't recall. But like if I said chicken, then this would return an error. That's what this error is for. Then, if descending order equals desk, this probably fixes my test. Although I see some weird things here. Let me do go mod tidy. See if that clears that up. Yes, it does. All right, let's run the test. Ooh, I got a fancy crash. That's awesome. I think I know why. But let's just verify. So this is happening like 118 here. That's right. Ooh. I had a question if I could share the Twitch link. I sure can. Give me 1 second to pull that up. If you want to watch on Twitch, there's the link. We're sharing that. So thanks, Ryan, for sharing the Twitch stream with some other gophers. I appreciate it. All right. What was I looking at? Something was failing. Invalid. Yeah, I'm trying to dereference a nil map. Apparently, I probably just forgot to initialize something. Line 118 here. And wait, let me look at this. Line 26. Okay, I'm pretty sure the reason this is happening is that I'm passing a nil option here, and it doesn't like that. I have a couple of options. With SQLite, you may, if you were watching closely, you might have noticed that I was passing nil stuff or a placeholder value. Not that I expect you were watching that closely, but if anybody was, this mock nil option. I probably want to keep doing that, actually. And the reason is because I don't know. It would be nice if everything was robust enough just to not care if it was nil. That would simplify things, but I don't know if I care, because it would simplify my test cases. I'm debating whether or not that's worth the effort of. It's probably a good idea. Certainly, I could solve the immediate problem by making this options new work. If options is nil, the problem with making this change is that this is in a separate module. Same repository, but separate module. Working with multiple modules in one repo, it's kind of a pain in the butt and go. So you can see this path here is because this is actually sort of like pseudo vendored. So I can't edit this file. And I can edit the file if I get to it over here, but it won't be visible to the other module in the same repo until I commit it and push it and everything, all that silliness. I do like the idea though. So I think I'm going to take a step back here. I'm going to create a whip commit. And then I'm going to make that change here. So now only if options is not nil will I call that method on it. I believe that's where it was crashing. I should actually validate that, but I believe that's where it was crashing. Yeah, options new. It was line 39. Now it's line 40. Yeah, that is where it was crashing. So this will prevent that particular crash. I'm not 100% sure if this will solve the overall problem I was solving with that mock.nil options, but it sure would be nice if I could just pass nil here instead. But I don't need this fake nil option that doesn't do anything. So I'm gonna make this quick change. Call the branch allow nil options. Dot crash for nil options. Now I need to push this up. I need to merge it, which is going to take a minute because CI has to run. Once it's merged, then I can do another go get to update to the parent module that has this change in it. Yeah, so I could use a Go workspace locally to make this easier. I think it's probably not a bad idea to do that. Let's set that up. That'll make this development a little bit faster. It doesn't solve the complete problem because I still have to merge this before I can merge the other. Go workspace doesn't solve that, but at least within my local development, I can be working on multiple versions or the latest version of multiple modules simultaneously. So that could be nice. I think it's I don't remember how Go workspaces work. It's been a while since I've used it. So let's look it up. It's not complicated, I don't think, but Go work init. This command initializes a new workspace and creates the Go work file. You can specify the directories containing the modules you want to include. Can I do dot and then dot slash x slash SQLite dot slash x slash PG? Didn't complain. That looks like it's working. Let's see. I think the clue will be, let me check out that branch I was working on again. What was it called? DB exists. So the clue will be if I follow to the definition of this, does it go to the sort of forked copy or the local copy? Awesome, it worked. Okay. So I still need to make the change here, but this is just for my local copy, right? If options does not equal nil, then all right. So now my test should pass again. Or at least that particular error shouldn't occur anymore. So let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's working. I'm going to go ahead and add this to my commit, knowing that it's a duplicate of the pull request that's running in CI right now. I'm also going to add go work to my .getignore. Because the go work file is only meaningful on my local machine, so you shouldn't commit that to Git. Let's merge. Let me squash these together. So it's no longer a whip now. This doesn't honor all options, but it honors descending equals true. Hi, Aiden. Thanks for joining. All right. Let me run the test once more. Make sure I didn't break anything. What's this about? I think that's a mistake. I don't think it's actually a problem. I think VS Code is confused. Oh, actually, I think I know why it's doing that. I think it's confused about the workspace that depends on different versions of a particular package or something. This is funny. I don't know why it's complaining about this. I don't know. I'm using an ancient version of a library I wrote called Testy here. Yeah, I think this is complaining because my different modules in my workspace use different versions of the library. I think, yeah, and I think the new version doesn't have that or something like that. That's kind of annoying, but it shouldn't matter today. So what I'm gonna do actually is remove. Well, no, I don't know if I. Let me see here. I think I'm going to solve this by updating to the latest version of Testy for this package only, because I have a V2 that supports generics now. I think that might solve the problem, at least in conjunction with something else I'm going to do here. I'm going to remove SQLite from this package, from the workspace, because I really don't need that package right now for this. So doing those two together, removing SQLite from the workspace, which probably depends on a new version of Testy, I'm guessing. And then updating a new version with a new import path should probably solve this problem. Let me see where Testy is used. I don't think it's used extensively here, but let's just change that. Change Testy to Testy V2. And then I need to change, that should be fine. Go get gitlab.com/fluency testy/v2. All right, so that should make that resolve. Go tidy. All right. Three more files to update. Should be pretty quick. Testy v2. And then some of the function signatures change. So this now takes a type. Since it's now a generic function, this becomes add func, and it needs to return test. Add func test. All right, that one's done. Same change here. And then add func. Gonna do this a couple more times. I think yeah. No, you don't need, I do not want that. That is not what I want. Your LLM is stupid. All right. What else do we have here? One more, it looks like. All right. Just make sure those tests continue to pass. Aiden asked if this is a personal project. Yeah, it is. It's part of my open source project. It is also a personal project. The project at large is a CouchDB driver and suite of libraries for CouchDB. And today I'm working on building a CouchDB compatibility layer on top of Postgres. All right, so let's just make sure all these look sane. That's exactly what I was aiming for right there, is to switch from the version 0 to version 2. All right. Now I'm going to restart my editor. And hopefully now it's going to stop complaining about what I think was caused by mismatched versions. Seems to be happy now, so we're good. All right, I think now we can get back to what I want to really focus on today, which is adding more test cases to AllDBs. So I have my to-do list here of test cases. Now, as I already mentioned, we're using this options library that I wrote when I was doing this for SQLite. I think I can use most of that just out of the box. If I find corner cases or exceptions, we'll address those. But I still need to implement the logic in here. So I think what I'm trying to say will make more sense as I go along here. So let's just add the next test case. Let's do endkey. So basically, I want to create. I kind of want to do exactly the same thing here. Just copy the body of that, except that here I'm going to do endkey, and then I'm going to pass db name 1. I think I'm going to look up the documentation here. I think that's inclusive. All right. That's just not exactly what I want. I want over. I'm trying to look at all DBs. Stop returning databases when the specified key is reached. It's not clear whether that's inclusive or not, but I'm pretty sure it is. The thing is, I think for views, it's more specific. I actually wonder if that's supported here. Let me check. Let me zoom in a little bit. I'm having a hard time reading this, which means I'm sure anybody on a phone or a small screen is having a hard time too. All docs is a good place to jump here. View endpoint. Here we go. Inclusive end. This is what I'm looking for. Specifies whether the specified end key should be included in the results. Default is true. So it is inclusive by default. For the view, I would assume the same is true for all docs. To validate, I should test this. I should also see if this inclusive end is actually supported by all docs. So let's, I guess let's do that test. I need to fire up CouchDB in a Docker container. I don't have that very well doc. I don't remember how to do that most quickly, but it's not too hard. Let's see if I have documentation about that. Not really. I used to. Let's just try that. Is that not the name? Is it pull? All right. You know, I'm going to use an old version of CouchDB because it's easier. In version 3 point something, they added actual security. In an older version, the default server has no password, which is easier for my testing. That's why I'm using an old version. I'm trying to remember the Docker help start. Docker start help. I don't remember how to do this. Docker start container. CouchDB. Let's call it Couch2, CouchDB 2 point. Is that the way to do it? No. All right. Resorting to Google. Oh, I know. It's Docker run, right? Yeah, start is one that's already running but paused or whatever. Okay, it's running now. Let's see a bunch of logs. So I'm going to create a database if I can remember how. Oh, I suppose I need to expose that port, don't I? Let's try that. No, it doesn't like that. So that was right. Does it need to go before the service name, maybe? I don't think so, but Unknown flag. I'm so confused here. Oh, I'm doing Docker start again. That's my problem. This should be Docker run. And nope. Well, I don't care about the service name. I don't remember the syntax for that. I rarely do this manually. Here we go. Let's try again. Wait a minute to start up. There we go. All right. I think I created a database. Let's create a second one. Now we're going to do AllDBs. And we get bar and foo. Now let's pass. And now we get to do the experiments we want. End key equals foo. Does that work? No, it needs to be JSON encoded and quoted. So I need, yeah, it's kind of annoying. So let's try that. Okay, yeah, %22, that makes sense. %22, %22. Okay, that worked. And it is inclusive. Now let's see if that inclusive end is supported here or not. It is. That's funny. That means the CouchDB documentation is out of date. That is not surprising. I actually has since many years ago, I've spent a lot of time updating CouchDB documentation. I'm going to do that right now because I don't want to forget, and I know I will if I don't. Looks like I don't have CouchDB docs forked right now, so let's go ahead and get that. hub.com/couch Apache CouchDB. I don't remember. GitHub CouchDB. Let's just let Google do its stuff. Here we go. I don't remember if the docs. I think the docs are in the same repo now. They used to be a separate repo. I'm not sure if they still are. Looks like they are there now. So let's fork this, or not fork, but clone. I should have a fork of my own somewhere, I think. All right, let's find. We're looking for, I want to find the missing bit. I'm looking for, I'll move this in a new tab. Looking for AllDBs. Looks like it's in source docs. And then here we have API server. That looks like the place we're looking for. I should open my editor in this repo. Code dot here. There. And then source again, API server. Is that right? Let's see. All docs, AllDBs. Yep, this is what I'm looking for. Now I need to add the missing one. It was called inclusive end, I think. I'm just going to copy the text from here. over to here. Let's see, are these ordered in alphabetical order? Not really. I don't think. Comes before key, before start key, I guess. Okay, there's limit. So I want to put this between endkey and limit, just so it's the same order, just to be consistent. Whatever order it's in, keep the same order. Now, I don't remember if I have a fork of this for myself. I might. Apparently not. I don't know if I need one, though. Let me see. I might have write permission to this repo. I'll find out. Let me see if there's any other query parameters that might be worth testing for as well. Skip might already be listed. Limit and skip are already there. Okay. I don't think so. I think the rest of these either are already documented or just don't make sense in the case of AllDBs. Endkey is already there. Endkey doc ID doesn't make sense. Grouping doesn't make sense. Include docs doesn't make sense. Yeah, I think that's the only one that's missing. All right, let's see if I can push this up. I do have write permission. Great. I am a member of the CouchDB committee, so that's why. But I'm still going to create a pull request to do this. What that means is if any of you are using CouchDB and you find documentation errors and you want to submit a pull request like I'm doing, I could review it and merge it for you. Tester recommendations, NA. Literate issues or pull requests, NA. Code is written. Not really relevant. Changes are covered by tests. Not relevant. Any new configure documented? Not. That's what I'm fixing, really. Documentation, yes. Separate branches, not relevant, but let's do that. All right. Now, typically, within a couple of days, somebody on the project will see this and approve it. Sometimes it takes a few weeks if people are busy. It's such a minor thing. I imagine it would happen quickly. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to block us. I got my part done. I made a small contribution to another project that I saw as an oversight. I'm going to get back to my work. Okay, so this is ready to merge. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to close this CouchDB stuff. I'm not messing with that anymore right now. I can close my Docker container. Oh, that was something unrelated. It doesn't matter anyway. Okay. Yeah, I'm ready to get back to what I was doing after that little detour there. Close this editor. All right. So I was that whole detour was to find out whether or not endkey works. So actually, okay, first, before I continue that, let's add inclusive end support here to my to-do list. Now, the whole reason for that detour was to find out whether or not that's inclusive or not. Now I know that it is. I may have already built support for that into my options library. I don't know. I don't remember. We'll find out through testing. So the first thing, the key here is I have set up my test. I create two databases named 1 and 2. I say endkey is 1, so I expect only one result. This test will now fail because I haven't implemented the logic. Let's verify that. All right, exactly as expected. I'm getting both results. I only want one. So let me now figure out, remember, whatever, how this options package handles these things. Okay, so I have endkey here. So this will return the endkey. Yeah, it's easy enough to make this work here. Where table name like blah. So you need to add a I need to add a condition to this, right? So it's like where table name equals blah and table name is less than foo or less than or equal to foo, depending on whether I have the inclusive or not. I'm gonna do this inline for now, even though I know I don't want to do it that way in the long run. I want to make it simpler. The logic I'm about to create shouldn't exist in this function. It should exist in the options package so that SQLite and any other future libraries can use it as well. That's what I think. But I'm going to start with it inline, and I'll refactor it as the design I want becomes more clear. So I'm going to do, yeah, I suppose I'm not going to worry about that yet. I will worry about that, but not yet. One thing at a time. I need to make one test pass. So this is a discipline. It's difficult sometimes. Okay. I want a variable that I can plug in here, basically. What do I want to? I'm trying to think. So my brain is not cooperating with me. Let's do end. This is a terrible name. I'm going to rename it later. End where? It's better to do a terrible name that I can fix later than to get stuck on details that don't matter yet. So I'm going to do this. And %s. Yes. Okay, I'm going to comment this out for now. So by doing true, then the default is nothing, but it works. You know, just doing and true is the same as doing nothing, right? Logically, but it makes I don't have to bother with like trying to conditionally put the and or joining or whatever. And we just verify the test pass or don't pass, but behave the same way as before. So that this is a pure refactor. It is. All right. Now I'm going to put this actually up here, I think. And then, whoops. What's wrong with this? There we go. If endkey nil doesn't make sense, does it? No, it's a string. Key is not equal, quote, then, and where equals table name is less than or equal to $2. Okay, that's a little bit problematic there. Because now I'm either passing 1 or 2 arguments here. There are ways to solve this, of course. They all feel kind of ugly. So one option is to create an args slice up here that contains table prefix by default. Or is that right? Yes, table prefix. And then appends to it this argument when it's needed. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. This is some really ugly code. I already don't like it, but I'll be refactoring it. So table prefix. LLM knows what I want. Yep, that is right. And then args. I think this will make my test pass if I didn't do anything stupid or wrong. It did not. The reason is, what is the reason? Don't know. And table name is less than or equal to $2. That seems right. It's returning nothing now, and it should return that first table. I don't understand. Let's do some debugging here. Let me just do the one that's failing. So I have less cruft to sort through. Oh, it's including those quotes around it. Okay, that makes sense. Because this is JSON, because in other contexts, the end key can be a non-string. It can be an object or something like that, right? So that's why it needs to be JSON. In this case, it can only ever be a string. So I need to, this is so silly. The way, yeah, anyway, this all needs to be handled more in that library. But for now, so if end key does not equal blah, then I need to unmarshal it. What does parse JSON key do? So I want to update the documentation here to tell me what it actually does, or returns the end key option as a JSON, as an encoded JSON value. Makes it a little more explicit what it is. I want the string. I want this version right here in this case. In other cases, I don't want that. So I have to decide how I want to handle this. Do I want this code to decode it? Or do I want this to just return the key before it's re-encoded? For full compatibility, I should decode it after it's encoded and then potentially later shortcut that, because the reason it's done this way is that this could be passed. I could pass a string here. I could pass a JSON.raw message, in which case it does need to be decoded. I think those are the only valid inputs in this particular case. If it's a string, it's treated as a literal string. If it was a JSON.raw message, it's treated as an already encoded JSON object or value. Yeah, it's hard to decide. I'm going to go with the quick way for now and decode it here, even though it's going to make for ugly code, highly procedural, ugly code. I can always refactor it. Let's call this end key string. Terrible name. No, that's not what I want. I want var end key string. If error colon equals JSON dot unmarshal. There we go. And then this there. I think that'll make our tests pass. Yay. Now I can delete that debugging I added. Where was that? Right here. All right. And I can remove end key. I can remove both end key spellings. I know they're both handled by that options library. So this code is looking ugly. It's going to get uglier, but I'm going to go with it anyway. Let's do this. Let's do start key next, and then I'll do the inclusive end. I should have tested how inclusive end works for start key. I don't know if it actually does anything for start key. I just realized I had failed to send the Twitch link as promised earlier on LinkedIn. I was just sitting there in my so did I? Failed to post the comment. It's not working. I don't know why. Sorry, Ryan. I was trying to share that with you. I thought I had already. Looks like LinkedIn doesn't like it when I share links. It is twitch.tv/boldlygotech. I'll just say that. I don't think LinkedIn can block that. Yeah, it's not letting me post anything. I can't even write test into chat for some reason. Let me try something quickly. If I join the live stream, my own freaking live stream, then I can comment, and now I can leave that the link. So there it is. Finally, a little bit late, I suppose, but maybe it's better late than never. All right. Got a question from Carl. Sorry I joined late. No problem. Thanks for joining. The question is, what am I working on? I am adding a CouchDB compatibility layer on top of Postgres. The reason I want this is to make it easier to deploy applications that require Postgres or want to use Postgres on cloud providers that don't provide hosted Postgres, but they do provide hosted, or they don't provide hosted CouchDB, but they do provide hosted Postgres. So with this little shim, potentially and likely eventually put into a serverless function, for example, you can treat your hosted RDS instance or whatever as a CouchDB database. That's the goal. Right now, I'm working on implementing the AllDBs function, which returns a list of all databases in the CouchDB server, and adding the various options that are supported by the official CouchDB driver. All right. Now, with that little detour, let me get my head back into what I was doing. I think I want to add start key next. Before I do that, I'm going to take a little detour. So over here in this options package, I have a thing called view options, which handles a lot of this logic that I'm doing building SQL in the library itself. And I wonder if I need to do the endkey and start key stuff in something. So let me see how that's done. Yeah, endkey is definitely included there. So that I'm wondering if I want to duplicate this view options as like an AllDBs options, or maybe not duplicate, but maybe pull out the ones that are common between those two into their own sort of, I don't know, some abstract version that could be used for both. So I'm curious here. I want to see how endkeys is used. There's a validation stage there. Okay, so here we do, there's one place that uses endkey. Build group where, there's another one. So I already have a lot of this logic here, don't I? View.key. And then, so this is the operator, less than or equal to or less than, which can actually be flipped around if the order is descending. So this logic is all here already. It does seem like I should handle that here for the AllDBs case as well. Build where. This is the sort of generic where. All right, so I have to decide now if I want how I want to handle this view options versus another thing. Let me look at the CouchDB docs again. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus the 8th one I just added, 8 options versus a whole bunch here. This never applies. None of these apply. Those are find only anyway. Okay. Limit and skip, descending. Those apply. End key, start key, inclusive end. I think that's it. End key and start key are duplicates. So it's, I said 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's really 6. So there's 6. Yeah. I think I want to create a new type here and extract those 6 elements. Let me see if that actually makes sense where they're used. Where is that used? Skip isn't used at all? That would be a bug. We'll get to that later. So there's descending. So this particular function I will never use for AllDBs. Group I will never use. Bookmark I will never use. This one is the one I would use for AllDBs. The fact that this column is called view.key is a little bit, yeah, I mean, I could make that match. It would be a little bit awkward though. I could shoehorn the AllDB support into here, and like, so I could see that I had this view column, or not column, but field that contains a string for the 3 built-in views, all docs, local docs, and ddocs. I think I could treat I don't know why this isn't doing what I expect. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. So I could like add AllDBs as an option there and sort of treat it that way. The keys did never apply. So I do think it makes sense to extract this into its own options. I have to know what to call it. I could call it AllDBs options, but that's too specific because it's AllDBs plus all views. It's like a limited view. Maybe I could call it like, it's almost like pagination options. The name doesn't matter that much. Again, I can always rename it later easily. All of the options recognized by all docs and views. I'm going to put a link to all, or not all docs, all DBs. Put a link here. I don't know why I have this C. I don't know why I did it this way. I didn't use a hyperlink. I think I'll do. Actually, hang on a second. DDoc view. That's interesting. I'm not going to worry about that right now. It's a tangent that's not relevant. I'll fix that some other day if I ever care. So the ones I want here are limit, skip, and descending. And then end key, start key, and inclusive end. Now I'm going to embed this in here. It's going to break a few things. I'm going to have to update that. But otherwise, once I fix these references, like this, and everything should work. And it should be a pure refactor. 149 problems. Let's hope it's not that difficult to fix this. Well, that took care of 2 of them. It's going to be take a little while. Thank goodness for LLMs. This is where LLMs really shine, with this rote stuff. Oh, come on. I'm make sure I didn't make a mistake there. Let me look at what I've done. All right, let's keep going. $132. $127. I could probably tell Claude or something just to make all these changes for me. But then I'd spend just as much time validating that I did it correctly, probably. I guess I have my tests to make that. Maybe I should try that. Let's see here. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what Claude does here. Let's see how this works. It's going to build to see the errors. It's not maybe the most useful thing, but whatever. Whatever it needs to do to get the context to make the thing go. Not sure what it's talking about there, but I guess we'll find out. What changed? Why is it showing under a different window? Yes, that's a fine change to make. Go ahead. If this starts working, it should be on a roll and do this very quickly. But in the meantime, it's taking a long time to figure out what needs to happen. Yeah, that looks reasonable to me. I'm not sure what multi-edit means here, but if it does the trick, I guess I'm happy to have it happen. Blah, da, da, da. While we're waiting for Claude to do its thing, let me mention that I have a kind of daily-ish email list that I write. If you're interested, boldlygo.tech/daily. I write about Go. That's the archive. You can see the old posts there if you want. If you go to boldlygo.tech/daily, you can click browse the archive. You can see the old post I've written. or just send me your email address and I will include you. I don't do it. I try to do 5 days a week, but it's often more like 2 or 3 days a week. Uh, but yeah, you're absolutely welcome to join. I lately am talking about Go routines and different ways to manage Go routines. So if that's interesting to you, be sure to check that out. All right, it's asking for a change here. It looks like it's just one of the changes, but that's a fine one. Yes. Is it going to ask me to confirm every single one? That will take almost as long as doing it myself. I suppose I could tell it to just do all the similar changes, right? Oh, it's asking for several at a time now. That's an improvement. I don't like to tell an AI, at least not yet, to yes, you can just do anything you want. I don't trust them that much yet. But doing 2 at a time, that's an improvement. We're down to 36 problems. That's nice. It must have done more than I realized. Yes. 24. We're getting there. This was faster than doing it myself, I think. Error editing file. What does that mean? Don't know. I wish Claude understood the Go AST the way VS Code does and the way Go please do. I think it would be a lot more efficient than relying on running the compiler, things failing, grepping, and so on and so forth. I'm sure before too long we'll have LLMs that do that. Right now it's kind of a clunky interface between those things. Down to 16 brokennesses. Why are you just deleting that? That doesn't seem right. No, don't delete it, move it. I'm going to let it do its thing, and I'll fix it later. That does not look right to me. Probably should have done that, but it's not difficult to fix it. Oh, now it's adding it back. Okay, whatever. Getting closer. 14. Oh, this is what I expect. To move the stuff, not to delete it, and then later on maybe restore it. I feel like a live stream watching Claude isn't that interesting. Although I suppose a live stream watching me manually do this stuff wasn't interesting either. Some parts of code aren't interesting, right? Some parts of coding. We're almost there. Less than 10 to go. Claude is silly. It acts like every time it discovers something, it's some new revelation. Oh, I see the problem now. I told you the problem before we started this session. It's not a revelation that you know what the problem is now. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to just finish this for the session. Then I'll close Claude before the next time I do something, so it won't continually edit stuff without my expecting it to. Something's still broken. Down to 5 though. I thought you just did that. So something's broken, at least when the tests run. Let me update the to-do list. What to-do list? All right, let's see if I'm content with what happened here. That looks right. I'm gonna go through, like I said earlier, I could have it do the whole thing, but I have to validate it. I'm gonna validate it. I'm gonna make sure everything looks right. Yep, there's 6 things there that looks right. Limit, skip, descending, endkey, start key. I think that's all right. This is how we'll know if it deleted something that it didn't re-add, for example. Okay, yeah, that still looks right. Yeah, I agree with that one. Agree with that one. This one I'm unsure about. I'm going to say no for now. So I want to. Okay, yeah, actually, I do know what I do agree with that. All right, test passed. That means it's a successful refactor. Right. Let me think how I want to do this next. So now I want to write a function in that options package that builds a where clause for me, the same way I do for the view, but reduced in complexity since it's just for all docs or all DBs. I keep getting those names wrong. How did I write the wrong thing just now? No, I did all DBs. Okay. Reopen my editor. So Claude is cleared of all of its cache and dependency cache is updated and everything. I'm going to move this to a new file. I feel like that's going to be an easy way to do this. So let's do codepagination.go. I still don't like that name, but I haven't come up with something better yet. So need to copy this stupid licensing boilerplate. Don't need the go doc repeated though. And then I'm going to move this to my new file. So make it easier to work side by side. File is not properly formatted. Well, then format it, for goodness sake. All right, there we go. Actually, I'm going to, nope. All right, I just saved that reformatting with the previous commit where it should have gone in the first place. Okay, so I want to make a duplicate of this. func omap pagination options. So what view options does is it takes the raw unprocessed map of options and sort of validates each one, makes sure it's the right format. You know, a Boolean is falsy or truthy or whatever. I'm going to do the same thing for pagination options, and then I will have view options call pagination options, so that the duplicate code or the common code is kept in the pagination options thing. So limit and skip are certainly part of that. So I'm going to do it like that, and then I don't need this at all. I can just do it like this. Simplify that. I don't know why. Oh, because it's a pointer, but I'll just do it like this for now. I don't know if that's best or not. All right, now I have a clear pointer or a clear indicator every place I need to move something. I can move this one, descending, and then inclusive and. Yeah. I don't need end key and start key, but aren't those over here? Why aren't those showing up? Because they do something funky here with keys. I'll worry about that in a minute. First, where's end key defined? Here's end key and start key. Okay. All right, now we have, okay, pagination options should be fine. It's so much simpler. But this is broken over here because we have a couple references to things that were there, but they aren't now. But I can fix that. That should do it. The test should pass again. Good. All right, so our constructor has been extracted. Now, and everything still works as it does by embedding that the new type inside of view options. Most of the references are still valid, with the exception of the ones that I fixed with Claude. Validate. Do I want to do that? I probably do. Yep, I definitely do. So I need to create a validate here. Func p pagination options validate. So first, I will make this call that. Let's make this just to return nil. If error colon equals, yep, then return error. Now, what is descending modifier? Okay, so this is all part of pagination, this part. So let's move that over here. Oh, this descending modifier still needs to be defined, I guess, because it needs to be referenced there as well. It's not, this validation is actually pretty straightforward there, but just the same. I don't like having this descending modifier thing defined twice. I'm going to fix that in a second. But one thing at a time. Make sure tests still pass. The nice thing about having a good test suite, one nice thing about having a good test suite, is it's easy to do these refactors safely. I just do a small step that I think is appropriate, run the tests, and that tells me that I didn't break anything. Now, descending modifier. It's kind of a weird name. It's either 1 or -1, depending on. Oh, I see. So it modifies the CMP thing. Makes sense. I think I'm going to create a method on pagination options that returns that. It's a tiny method, but at least I can duplicate. I reduce logic duplication. And I can just put this in place in line then. So it's not any more efficient, really. I mean, it still does the calculation twice, but the code is easier to read, I think. Now here, so here I chose to put it in a variable because it's actually used twice here. Let me see how that's done. I want to make sense of that in my head again. Okay. So it still does the calculation twice. It used to do it just once. It's a tiny calculation, not a big deal. But at least that logic, as simple as it is contained in a single place. Exact same amount of code, but I do think the code is easier to read now. All right. What's next? Endkey op, that's fine. Start key op, that's good. I'm going to be able to reuse that. That's not part of the method. I need to find where my, I guess I already passed it somewhere. Where is the where thingy defined? I think it's, here it is, build where. So I want to basically, so build where returns where conditions based on the provided configuration arguments and may append to args as needed. Okay. So I want to do the same thing over here. And I'm going to use the same pattern. I'm going to create the common code in pagination options, and I'm going to have the view options call it. And it accepts args, a pointer to a slice, which is an unusual thing to do. But it allows me to modify the slice that's passed in place, which is also kind of an ugly thing to do. It's not a very functional approach, but it's what I'm doing here. So, all right. I don't know what this is. I just sort of an arbitrary limit to how big I make the default where. Doesn't matter right now. I don't need that. I want this and this to move. And then, so V, and replace that with P. Ooh, wait a minute. This isn't as easy as I thought. Because of this endkey doc ID, which is supported by views, but not by AllDBs. Can this code even be duplicated? I'm not sure. Let me see what the logic here does. Let me undelete this over here and walk through it. So if the endkey is not empty, then we do blah, blah, blah. That part's fine. If the endkey doc ID is also not empty, then we do this stuff. Is that the only place endkey doc ID is used? It is. How does endkey doc ID work? We look at the documentation. It's been long enough since I've done this. I need to verify. Stop returning records when the specified document ID is reached. Ignore if endkey is not set. Okay. I don't fully understand that. I don't fully remember the details, but I don't need to. I can still move this over here. I just can't do the endkey doc ID part. I need to delete that. And same for start key doc ID. So that's simpler there. And then over here, I need to I'm going to get rid of this. No, I can't get rid of that. What do I want to do? I want to where equals append where comma v dot pagination options dot build where arc. Yeah, that's what I want. Now, I'll get rid of the duplicate part here. I think that's what I want. Oh, LLM is actually doing the right thing there, but whatever. What are you trying to tell me here? Okay, it's not that simple, is it? Because this op thing is defined here. Well, I think I could still get rid of this and move this op thing into here. How are we now? Why is this red? What? No, stupid thing. Okay, now let's copy this op, hoobity what's over from here. All right, I think that's right. Oh, yes, I got the wrong receiver name there, but that's fine. Missing return. Okay, so that didn't save me quite as much as I was expecting, but it's still nice. I don't have duplicate logic there. Let's see if the tests pass. What's this before I bother with that? Oh, I just need a comment, a go doc comment. See if the tests will pass. They do. Once again, extract common logic from build where into pagination options dot build where. I should specify which build where. So let's do view options dot build where. Now the limit stuff still needs to be done. And I'm not sure if that was ever done before. As I recall, that skip might not have been referenced. Let me just check here. Yeah, I don't think it is referenced. Is limit referenced? No, these things were never implemented, it looks like. All right, so we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, I need to, yeah, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. Apparently, limit and skip were never implemented, even for SQL or SQLite. Let me make sure everything else was. Descending, I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's handled right there. And key structure, we just test, yeah. So everything else is already handled there. All right, let's see if we can refactor the test we just did, not the test, the code we just did to make the end key work. Let's see if we can refactor that now to use this code I just built. AllDBs, and we'll open the test file too, just for good measure. All right, so what I want here then is pagination options, and now it does possibly return an error. And now I don't need to bother with this here. Wait a minute, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that order by how is that being done? I forgot about that part. Hang on. Let me undo what I'm doing here. Don't save. Let's open options again. Build order by. Okay. This probably only belongs in, hang on, what is sorted? That's not the name of an option, is it? If v.sorted, where does that come from? Where is that being set? Where is it being set? Here, it's being set here. Where does this come from? Okay, where does sorted come from? Okay, what is that? Let me see. Sort returned rows. Okay, this one might actually be supported by all DBs. I'm going to have to test that, which means I need to start that Docker container again. Bear with me here. And to make this work, I'm going to need to create a whole bunch of databases, or yeah, we'll get there. Okay, foo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's fetch all docs, or all DBs rather. Let's see if this works, and see if they come in random order. Foo 1, 2, 3. They still come sorted, so that is not supported here. All right. So I was trying to see how order by was being done. Okay, I think this is still pretty straightforward. Let's do no. Build order by. And more columns. So I'm not sure if I can reuse this code between the two cases. Let's see how this is used. Is that not used anywhere? That would be strange. It's not used anywhere. So I built this order by that I didn't use. That's almost certainly a bug. Well, I don't know why I'm not using it somewhere. Well, Let me think here. I don't honestly know what that would be used for. It's not even used in a test. Okay. I don't know what more column is for. Yeah, I don't know what that's meant for. I'm going to delete it, I think. Since it's not being used, it's not being tested. Don't know what I had in mind when I wrote it. Yeah, I'm just going to delete that and build the version I need right now. And later on, when I need that again, I will try to fix that and figure out what's going on. All right. So I'm using view.key here everywhere. Well, not everywhere, that one place, which is to be consistent with what's up with the other package. I think I will continue to do that for consistency's sake. If p.sending, yeah, I think that's all I need here, right? All I need is the one for now. And this is almost certainly not sufficient for the general case, but that's okay. Well, I don't need this either. Oh. Testing the wrong thing. Okay, that's working. Okay. Now, someone might be wondering why I'm not writing tests for all these new functions I just created. And it's a fair question. The truth is I am building tests for them, just not in that package. So you might be thinking, why am I not writing unit tests? Well, I'm writing behavioral tests. I'm writing tests for the behavior I want, which includes that package. There are times when I write tests at the lower level, and I very often do. But in this case, the behavior I'm looking for is much more interesting at the higher level. Now, an argument can be made that I want a test that tells whether a build where returns the right where based on certain inputs, and that's an appropriate thing to do in many cases. But that's not the approach I'm taking right now. AllDBs. Let's go here again. So let's go back to doing this. This should be calling now pagination options, and that could be returning an error. And if it does, then I want to handle that. Good. All right. So now I don't want this. This should be handled elsewhere. So our args needs to stay there basically. This all can go away, I think. So I'm going to do where clauses, where column equals. I think I'm going to return an error. O.build where. And I pass in args. There's no error there. The error's already been handled. this actually going to become strings.join where and then this becomes build order by. How are we doing that? I think I can just move this also into here. I think this will work. I think. Let's see if the tests go the way I want. Why is this LLM bothering me? Ooh. All right, that did not work. We're getting funky wonky stuff. Let's have a look here. To do remove. That's a nice one. So we're getting nothing. Okay. So I'm surprised it's. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm getting syntax error. That doesn't make sense. So we should not be getting nothing all the time. And we are, but I'll worry about that in a minute. We could very potentially get nothing sometimes. So the way to solve that is to there's a couple ways. I'm going to do it this way. Stop. Where equals no equals append. I'm going to copy this part. There we go. But I don't need this and part here. And this becomes where, yes. See how that works. We should have valid SQL now. I still don't think the tests are all going to pass because I don't think we're passing the arguments correctly. Yes, now we don't have this trailing and, so that part's good. The problem is that we're still getting other. Okay, we're getting the problem that we don't recognize this view. That makes sense. Okay, here, so it actually is working. So here we're saying and view.key blah. The thing is that table name needs to be called key now. So we're going to restructure our query to make that work with the standard view and key name that we're using for the other query building. The other approach would be to make that configurable so we could like tell it what column name to use, but I think it's easier to do it this way. Let's do with view as, and then we're going to do select substring blah as key. Yes, from PG tables. Okay, actually, this is going to make other things simpler too. I'm going to move this here. Where? Stop it. I don't need to append this anymore now. So basically, I'll be fetching a list of tables, trimming the prefix from them, and then based on that, I can do the where. So now I do select key from view where %s. And then another %s for the order by. All right, now I can switch to that again. See how that works. Got an error somewhere, syntax error. Oh, we got a where with nothing. That makes sense. Now we have the potential for an empty where. Let's change that to where colon equals blah. No, I don't like that. There's too many ifs and hoobsies. I'm gonna do it like this. Use the same trick I used before. Make that a true. All right, we have one failure now, and that's for endkey. It's the new one. It's supposed to be a refactor, right? We're supposed to be replacing one set of functionality with identical functionality for the library, so this shouldn't be happening. Let's figure it out. Oh, we got the, yeah, okay. We still have the problem. We reintroduced the bug where we're passing JSON rather than unmarshalling it. That's trickier now. Because this function needs to work for both the AllDBs case, which should treat it as a string, and for the view case where it doesn't. So we need to special case this in some way. I could pass an argument to it. I could reduplicate what I had before. That would at least deduplicate these op assignments that I have in the other package or the other file. Let me see what the change I need to make here is. I need this and this to be converted to strings. This is what I need. I could also handle this. So one advantage of moving this logic back up into the view options build where, making that completely separate. So the logic is slightly duplicated, but that would allow me to not use view.key. That would make this the odd man out though. So using view.key probably still makes sense. So I don't think that's really a benefit. Another option I could do is modify p.startKey and p.endkey before calling this function. That's probably a good way to go. So I think the way I'll do that is I'm not super crazy about it. My thought though is that I could have a function that's only called by AllDBs that would convert those to strings, and if they're not strings, like if it's an object or something, then it would return an error. So I could do that. It would be natural for that to be part of validate, although then the validate isn't just validating. Well, it's not just validating, then it's also changing the data, which isn't ideal. I could also just have a separate function called by AllDBs, or I could have AllDBs do the, no, AllDBs can't do it internally because these are unexported, but I could have a function for the AllDBs calls first. I could have AllDBs call a different build where. I could have AllDBs pass a Boolean or something. Not really sure how I want to handle this. I could also, no, that's probably not ideal. What's the best way? The least intrusive way is to modify these I'll go that route for now. It's almost time for me to end anyway. I'll go that route for now. I don't know why it thinks that makes sense. All right, let's try this. I could, this might be better, is to make it an argument to pagination options and let it happen there. I think I like that better already. So let's make this something like that. These are really bad names, but whatever. All right, now view options, we can pass false here. P is not a thing. Let's try this. Oh, everything's broken. Start key must be a string. No, that's okay. I know why it's failing. That's not how it should be working. It should be more like if all DBs and end key does not equal, then we can do that. I'll go ahead and put it, I'll go ahead and nest those conditionals. Let's try it like that. Hey, we're passing again. I need to delete my debugging nonsense here. And then I think I can remove some, no, I was going to say I could remove some stuff from my to-do list, but I don't think I can because that last bit, I didn't actually add start key. Actually, I probably did add start key support and inclusive end support. I just haven't validated that that works yet. So I'll add those tests later. For now, I'm going to commit this. I think we're good. I'm going to basically call this a day. My next steps will be, first, I'm going to push this up. I'm not actually going to merge this as is. I'm going to cherry pick all the changes to the options package, the options module, and merge those first. Because otherwise, these tests are going to fail in CI, even though they're working locally, because I'm using a workspace locally, but I'm not using in CI. So I'm going to cherry pick all the changes to the options module, merge that first, then I'll rebase this current pull request on top of that, which will delete the duplicate commits, of course. Then I can pull in the latest version of the upstream package, the upstream module, so that it has proper support and passes. But I'll do that all behind the scenes. No need to keep you here late. Most of you are gone already. Thank you for watching. I will not be here next week. Next week, I'm traveling to Guatemala for a long weekend. But in 2 weeks, I expect to be back and picking this up again. Hope to see you then. Until then, check out boldlygo.tech/daily. Subscribe to my daily mailing list, and I will be writing there before next time. Thanks for watching.